Hello, everybody, and welcome into another season preview show here at the Hockey Writers. I've been doing this for a few seasons now. I've got a new Nashville Predators rep. I seem to have a new one every season. I can't keep writers around, but hopefully, Owen, you're going to stick around for next season as well. But how's it going?
Oh yeah, it's absolutely great. I mean, I love being able to cover the Nashville Predators because I'm from the South. I'm from Marietta, Georgia, so there's not a ton of hockey around here. But I'm just jazzed seeing a team like Nashville be able to succeed, and I hope there's a team in Atlanta. But Nashville's what I got right now, and I just love the culture over there.
Yeah, I mean, their fan base has been, since they became a team, has been maybe a surprise. Since maybe a lot of people didn't think that they would be able to sustain a hockey team, but they have, and they've got a pretty good fan base. So going into this season, obviously they missed the playoffs last season. I maybe took a step back in some minds. I mean, there's talk about a rebuild, retool, restore, whatever you want to call it. Doesn't look like they're rebuilding because they did make quite a few trades, and we're going to talk about a few of those new guys, which mostly on the forward side. I mean, when you're looking at most of the new additions are coming up via trade and not free agent signings. These are all trades. They got Niels Höglander from the Vancouver Canucks. I know him very well. I'll speak on him a little bit too. They got Maverick Bourque. That's a pretty big one that they added from the Dallas Stars. Got Ilya Lyubushkin in that trade as well. We'll stick with the forwards. I got Ross Colton. You got Jack Drury, David Edstrom. All these guys are going to be able to, bolster the forward group. You can talk about all of them. You can talk about some of the specific ones, but I would say probably Maverick Bourque is your first, big addition there.
Yeah, Maverick Bourque was a huge acquisition for the Nashville Predators, and honestly, I think might have been the best move of Chris McFarland's offseason. Just having the savviness to be able to pull off that trade, because Bourque was a restricted free agent, and the Stars had to use all their money to try to extend Jason Robertson long term. So good on him, and add Ilya Lyubushkin to that. I know we're not talking about the defenseman right now, but to add on Ilya Lyubushkin's contract to not have to pay a first for Maverick Bourque when the Predators might have had to pay a first if they tendered an offer to Bourque. Mm-hmm. I think that's very savvy. That's very savvy move on their part. But enough about the move. I just talked about Maverick Bourque. He has top six potential. I think he's going to realize that in Nashville. Just a great two-way forward, great defensively, solid playmaker. I believe he's like AHL MVP a couple seasons ago. Yeah. So he's a very, very offensively minded forward, pretty solid defensively in his own zone. And I like the contract the Nashville signed him to too, about 6x6. I think that's very cheap for him. But at just 24 years old, I think he could take the next step this season. I could see him being a 60-point per season player, maybe approaching the 70s as well in Nashville. He's going to get all those shots. But outside of that, it seems like there's a lot of bottom six help for the Nashville Predators. Colton, Drury, and Höglander are going to make a very interesting third line, in my opinion. Drury might be the best defensive bottom sixer center in the league. Had a vote for Selke as a bottom sixer, which is crazy. Colton, the very good energy forward. I think he's going to be a culture setter for this team, especially with McFarland trying to get that winning culture in Nashville like he had in Colorado. Höglander, I mean, you're willing to talk about him as well, but he's a very solid two-way winger, in my opinion. Very active stick. I think you'd see him approaching 15 to 20 goals again in Nashville, even though 24-goal season was pretty big in Vancouver. What do you think?
Well, the thing about Höglander, I mean, I was actually a little disappointed that they traded him because I think he fits that rebuild. I mean, he's only 23. He's not a guy that's over the hill or anything like that. And had maybe a couple seasons, maybe got the short end of the stick. First, he had an injury last season, and that's why he scored so little. And having over $3 million contract now, it's something that maybe that was part of it. He wasn't playing up to it, but I think they should have given him a bit more leash on. But that's something that a new management group comes in and they're saying, maybe he doesn't fit with this group. He didn't really fit with the coaches, maybe three coaches. Last time I think Höglander really fit with a coach was Travis Green. So, I mean, if Andrew Burnett can be that type of coach for him, I think he'll be back to that over 20 goal guy, which I think he's capable of it. And like you said, high energy, two-way player. I really like his, issues defensively with some of the coaches. I never saw it. I don't know what they saw, but I never saw him being bad defensively. But yeah, I think he's going to fit Nashville. Again, fresh start as well. I think maybe that's what he needed or needs. So we'll see how he does in Nashville. But I think he's going to be pretty good for the bottom six as well.
Yeah, I didn't even mention Alex Kerfoot either in that group.
Yeah.
Also had an injury last season, typically around a 30, 40 point per season player. Bit of a low energy defensive forward, but good playmaker as well. And Adam Enstrom's a tall, very fast skater, probably could be on the fourth line.
Yeah, like they say, lots of bottom six guys that can help out. And Kerfoot's, in the past played, of course, on the top line in Toronto there for a bit. So he's a guy that he's got that offense to him, and it's something that maybe he kind of dropped off a little bit the last couple seasons, but he's got that potential and lots of skill in the Predators lineup, even though they haven't had a couple good seasons here, but we'll see. And that actually leads us into that. Our next fight is the big storyline surrounding the forward group. Steven Stamkos rediscovered himself last season, became the guy that they thought they were getting when they signed him. That I think is a big part of it coming into this season. What are the big storylines surrounding the core at forward there?
Well, obviously, Steven Stamkos is a pretty big story. Like, can he keep up that goal-scoring pace he had last season? He's getting up there in age. But I think the biggest storylines have to do with, like, the younger forwards, like Matthew Wood and Maverick Bourque. Do they take the next step forward in development? I liked what I saw in Matthew Wood last season. I believe he had 31 points last year, about 17 goals. I think he could take a next step as well. I hope they employ him more in the second. They employ more in the second line for Nashville if they end up fire selling. But outside of that, it's just based on what does this bottom six look like. I saw an interview with Chris McFarland discussing about the forwards, and I believe he said that maybe some of these forwards could be expendable too. I mean, we discussed a lot of names: Höglander, Edstrom, Bourque, Drury, Coldman. Bourque is more of a second liner, in my opinion. But there's also Vitaly Pinchuk in that group as well. I wrote an article about him in the Hockey Writers, but I think that he could be a very interesting developmental project for Nashville. But where is he going to get minutes? Where's Jonathan Marchessault going to get minutes? How are all the pieces going to come together? And are they going to prioritize youth, or are they going to prioritize veteran leadership for now? A lot of these questions are going to be determined by March, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. And like you said, with some of the young guys, Matthew Wood, I've always liked him as a prospect. He's starting to develop now into more of what I thought he was going to be. Last season was, phenomenal for him. So, I mean, I think he has another level to his game. So, I mean, like you said, but there's so many guys that are going to want minutes. Like you mentioned Marchessault. He was been in trade rumors. So he might be dealt. So that's another thing to kind of keep an eye on. But lots of guys that are going to be competing for ice time, and the young guys might push a few of those veterans out of the lineup, right? And that's going to be part of the season for sure.
Yeah, I'm looking at Joaquin Kemmel, maybe like if Brady Martin really comes into form. I think he might go in the AHL this season. Maybe guys like Aiden Fink and Cole O'Hara as well. But there's going to be a lot of discussion on what that bottom six is going to look like. Yeah,
for sure. Defense, we mentioned Ilya Lyubushkin's the biggest new addition, probably the only one. What do you think about his? You mentioned him a bit there. He's bounced around a few teams over the last few seasons. Was in Dallas. Came, of course, in the Bourque trade. What do you think about him being added to the blue line?
Well, I mean, the Predators definitely did need a defenseman, in my opinion. I didn't think they were just going to stop with Lyubushkin, no offense. Which, he's kind of like a dime a dozen, hard-hitting defenseman, racks up block shots as well. Yeah. I mean, Andrew Peak kind of play. Lyubushkin's very tall, but he's probably going to be in the third line. I kind of want to add Ryan Ufko to this list as well, because if he ends up playing a full season in Nashville, I liked what he did last year. I believe he got 20
Mm.
points or 10 points in like 18 games last year. He was actually pretty well offensively driven. And for a guy that was drafted in the 2021
Yeah.
NHL draft or like 2020 NHL draft, I did not see that from him. So I want to see Ryan Ufko get some more minutes as well. Those are really only two
Yeah.
key defensemen, in quotations there, key defense additions in Nashville, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, Lyubushkin, yeah, like you say, dime a dozen type defenseman. I think he'll probably be probably bottom pairing. I mean, you'd think good penalty killer as well. So yeah, he'll be a good addition, but not massive big spotlight like some of the forwards that we've been talking about. But the guys that are still here as the core group of defense, what are the storylines there for the blue line?
Basically, I was just discussing about how the Predators go about moving to defensemen. I think that Nick Perbix is a UFA after this season. Adam Wilsby is a RFA after this season. But more than that, I mean, I could see the Nashville Predators. Oh, and Lyubushkin is also a UFA after this season. But more than that, I think that it would suck for Predators fans, and I might be a heretic for mentioning this, but what about Roman Josi? I mean, he's in year 7 of his 8-year deal as a UFA. I mean, he's got a no trade clause, and I don't know if he's going to even try to give Nashville any teams to try to offer him, but they might try like listening offers to him, and they might approach him about that too, because Josi's still a very solid defenseman in his own right. I believe he led the team in points last season as a defenseman, and he's very good, and he maybe deserves to be in a competing team and deserves to win a cup. But this is kind of the group of Nashville where I'm a little less optimistic about. I mean, maybe some guys like I want to see Ufko there a little bit more. Maybe a guy like Tanner Molendyk evolves as maybe a third or second pair defenseman. I haven't seen a lot from him yet. Maybe Cameron Reed kind of goes into the AHL. I'm probably looking to see this defense core this prospect core more than the actual pairings in the team right now.
I mean, the defense, like we mentioned, a lot of the veteran guys, like UFAs, and is this group going to be together next season? Or I mean, what is this core group? Roman Josi, yeah, you mentioned him, and it's like he's been such a big part of this team for so long, and he doesn't seem to be slowing down. I mean, that's a guy that just keeps putting up points and logging the super amount of minutes that he does, and still a Norris Trophy type defenseman. So, yeah, I think he's still a big part of this team, but the rest of the defense could be changing. And Nick Perbix had a really good season. I think he's fit in Nashville quite well. So
yeah, he's been solid.
Yeah. So we'll see how that all kind of plays out throughout the season. But I think they're a pretty good defense group as it is right now. But we'll see how kind of some of the, like Ryan Ufko, you mentioned him there, where he fits into this group as well. All right. Well, the goaltending, no changes. I mean, you're looking at who's leading the crease. Juuse Saros is the guy again. He's been the guy for a bunch of seasons now. Justus Annunen is coming back as the backup. Do you see any, maybe is this a weakness as beyond Saros that is? He's going to be playing most of the games, but do you think they should upgrade at backup? I mean, Annunen's kind of been okay, right?
I don't think they should really upgrade at backup. It's just really not much like they could do here. I mean, other than really hope for Juuse Saros to get back to that past form. But Saros, I mean, he's had so much wear and tear in his body recently, and he's had so many games where he's had to start. I believe he led the league in shots and saves last season. He just led the league in shots and saves for 3 of the past 4 seasons as well. So that kind of wear and tear it gets into a goaltender a little bit, which is why a guy like Annunen is very important for Saros. Like Annunen actually outperformed Saros last season. He had a .906 save percentage, 2.68 goals against average, which are solid. They're not spectacular, but they were better than Juuse Saros' numbers last season. But that contract just looking rough. I think really the only thing that Nashville can hope for is for him to rebound this season. If not, then he might be through trade talks. It's a decent amount of pay. for what Saros has been bringing recently. There might be a team willing to part ways with him, but it might be like a goalie on goalie trade. And Saros is only in year 2 of it as well. So it's a very interesting situation to see if Nashville tries to even part ways with Saros if he struggles.
Saros is, I mean, of course, a trade would be a pretty big one for whoever, you know, and there's going to be teams that would line up for that. I mean, Connor Hellebuck, I would say, would probably be part of that type of trade, right?
I'd imagine if they're trying to upgrade a goaltender, yeah, but if Saros is like moved for like a younger goaltender and maybe like a couple draft picks, I could see that being a move as well. But I mean, they're just really hoping that Saros, gets off the schneid as a couple seasons so far.
I mean, he's a Vezina Trophy caliber goaltender, and I think they got to reduce his workload. I mean, he just plays so much, and that could be part of why maybe he struggled last season. I don't know, but I think, like I said, I've said it many times. All these teams that just overwork some of these goaltenders. It's not a one goaltender league anymore. I argue it could be a 3-1, a three goaltender league now, where you can't keep just playing a guy 60 plus starts. You got to kind of reduce that. But a lot more than, I think it's a tandem league now.
Absolutely. I mean, look at the Carolina Hurricanes. Like Brandon Bussey was the one winning the Stanley Cup for them, even though he was, I believe he was in the AHL, and he was the third goaltender behind Kotstakov and Freddie Anderson at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, that's right. So, I mean, we'll see if the Predators maybe want to do that. I don't know. I mean, they have to have a lot of confidence in Annunen to pull off the amount of starts.
I'd imagine.
But
Saros is definitely a volume kind of starter. So I wouldn't see. I have a feeling he probably bounces back into more of a reasonable 900, 905 save percentage.
Yeah.
But we will see. I just hope they kind of reduce Saros' workload.
For sure. All right, let's talk about the division. The Central Division is it's ridiculous.
Yes.
When you look at how many good teams that are in it, it is more top heavy still. I mean, when you're looking at the 3 big names or big teams that were last season, Minnesota Wild, Colorado Avalanche, Dallas Stars. And you know, maybe the Predators were not in that conversation, but they were closer to it that one season, but they've dropped back into that bottom part. Where do you see them? Are they still there, or more that mid ground?
I imagine they're probably around like 5th or 6th in the Central right now. I mean, obviously the Wild, the Stars, and the Avalanche are probably the leaders in that division. When you have like 100-point seasons from those groups, it's very hard to try to compete for a Stanley Cup. But then you have a team like the Mammoth, who I really liked their offseason so far. And if Sebastian Cossa ends up being the number 1 goaltender that he's been brought up to be in Detroit, then they could be a really good team next season. They just need to improve their goaltending. And even St. Louis as well. I like their form at the end of the season. They have a lot of young forwards. They just traded away Kyrou for another one as well. But they've been very savvy in the offseason, and I think they could take a step forward. So potentially Nashville could be, honestly, 7th in this division. I don't see them becoming 8th, unfortunately, but I could see them being in the 4th to 7th range is where I'm going with this one.
Yeah, I mean, in the Blackhawks, you don't want to take them for granted throughout the season.
No, not at all.
They've got a lot of young talent that they'll make that step eventually, like the Sabres did this past season, where all of a sudden they just figure it out. So, and that could be coming pretty soon. And it could be this season. Who knows? We'll see where that all goes. And the Central Division is a gauntlet when you're looking at all the teams that potentially this could be the toughest division once all the teams kind of figure everything out. This could be a pretty tough one to get out of for sure. All right, let's move to our quick fire round. These are all 1 or 2 sentence answers, not huge amount of explanation, but just whatever that comes to mind. So the first one, biggest storyline or question mark heading into the season. We talked about the defense, we talked about the forwards. What's your biggest one going in?
Well, just what direction the Predators go towards this offseason. I believe that Chris McFarland signed all these players in the forward core and really invested in this group just so that he can give them one more run, give O'Reilly one more run, give Stamkos one more run to prove to see what he's got in this team. Because if they really don't live up to the banner in like March or April, like I could see the team really selling off and going into that rebuild. McFarland really hasn't gone through a rebuild in Colorado, if I'm not mistaken, but I think that the biggest storyline is what direction Nashville's going to go towards in the NHL trade deadline, and how active are they going to be?
There's a lot, like we mentioned, how many veterans that and the logjam at forward, and
yes,
who could be dealt at the trade deadline? Because the deadline, Marchessault was talked about this past deadline. Of course, Stamkos was talked about as well.
O'Reilly,
O'Reilly. I mean, I was surprised he didn't get dealt, actually. But that's the one guy that he doesn't have a no trade clause, I don't believe, but they're kind of treating it like he does. So, I mean, they're going to want to move him to a place he wants to go, and he seems to want to stay in Nashville. So we'll see. All right. Breakout stars. Who do you have for the Predators?
For the Preds, I have probably the two most obvious candidates, Matthew Wood and Maverick Bourque. Matthew Wood, he had about 31 points last season. I could see him approaching 60 this next season. I could see him becoming maybe even a first-line player if players get dealt at the trade deadline. But Bourque, he scored 20 goals and had 21 assists as the third-line center for the Dallas Stars with all that ridiculous forward depth. And I could see him really taking advantage of just how much playing opportunity he's going to get in Nashville. I could see him also approaching 60 points, maybe even scoring 30 goals this next season. It'd be huge for Nashville for that forward depth.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, him potentially being a second-line guy. So, I think and who knows who he plays with. And he's got the potential for sure to do that. All right, the other side of it, bounce back candidates. Of course, Stamkos bounced back last season. Who do you have as a guy that needs to bounce back?
For me, it's Juuse Saros. Juuse Saros is going to bounce back a couple of seasons now, but he's definitely at the age where I think that he could definitely use a little lesser of a role in Nashville, maybe like a couple less games. But with that, I could see Juuse Saros' stats really, really looking better. I think that he can have a higher save percentage and less goals against average if he just has a lesser of a workload, because he's had so much in Nashville. And I think part of that is due to that contract that he signed. But I think that if they cool down his workload a little bit and give Annunen a couple more starts, then he could definitely bounce back and become that number one goaltender for Nashville. Maybe his fate is probably just to be a 1A to like a 1B in Nashville potentially.
True. I think definitely workload needs to be reduced, and maybe then he'll bounce back to that. And although he seems like he loves playing, so
yeah,
he loves having that workload. So maybe it wouldn't be good to have him less. Who knows? All right, X factors. Now, this doesn't have to be players. This can be situations, special teams, stuff like that. But what's an X factor, one or two, for the Predators for this season?
I think an X factor could be Jack Drury. I mean, obviously Bourque and Wood are big X factors as well, if they break out or not. But I think Drury just being able to stabilize that penalty kill for Nashville. I believe they were one of the worst in the league last season, and just being able to lift some of the load off of Juuse Saros in terms of allowing goals to get in. I think that Drury was a sneakily good acquisition, and a lot of people criticized the Drury contract when he was signed. Like, I get it, but like also he's so good defensively that you kind of need that stabling presence on the third line. So yeah, I think Jack Drury is a big X factor for this team.
Yeah, of course McFarland knows him well. He's now traded for him twice.
Right.
Right. He got from Carolina first, and then now from his old team. But yeah, seems to like him a lot. All right. Moving to the rookies and prospects, been quite a few young guys, not so much rookies, but who could surprise and make the roster out of training camp that maybe is not expected to?
Ooh, it's a good question. There are a lot of rookies I think could make this starting the lines or the pairings. I'm gonna go with Aiden Fink for this one. Fink is a relatively unknown. I believe he was drafted in the 6th round. He was actually it was the 7th round, actually. He was David Poyle's last draft pick ever. as a general manager. And I think he's lived up to the billing. He
Yeah.
could be a pretty solid bottom sixer for Nashville. He was at Penn State. He was near the top of the team in terms of points scored last season. It was actually battling Gavin McKenna for that spot.
Yeah.
And I think it's some more time at the AHL. I'd want to see him in the NHL, honestly. I'd want to see him play NHL minutes, and he has good scoring instinct, good playmaking instincts as well. I could see him really breaking through in this lineup. Him or even Cole O'Hara as well. 24-year-old had a good season in the AHL as well.
Yeah. I've liked Aiden Fink. I don't know why he was drafted so low, because I think he was projected to go in the 3rd or 4th round. I'm pretty sure. Oh, I didn't write his prospect profile, but I know he wasn't supposed to go in the 7th, so or 6th, or it was one of the. It was
no, it was yeah, I think it was the 6th. Yeah, it's
yeah. So I mean, very late. I was like, "Where's Fink? Why is he still here?" But he was. Yeah, Predators got a steal, I think, right there. So we'll see how he does. I think he could surprise a lot of people this season too. All right, overall prospects to watch, and this doesn't have to be guys that could make the lineup, but just in the system, who should everyone be watching this season?
Well, I would personally going to be watching some Brady Martin just to see if he bounces back. He had, I think, around a point per game in the he had a point per game in the OHL, and that's not really that good when you're looking at a 5th overall pick. So I'm really going to see if he's able to bounce back. Another one is Riker Lee. We saw a lot from him in those training camp tryouts for Nashville. Lee had a couple sick goals as well. Got some great assists from Wyatt Cullen, who I'm also going to watch as well. But another one, Tanner Molendyke. He's 21 years old in the AHL. He hadn't had the best season last year, but he could definitely bounce back and maybe try fighting for a roster spot as well. Just there's a ton of prospects in Nashville. They actually have one of the deeper prospect pools in the league, in my opinion. I mean, there's so many names you can name here. We've mentioned Fink, and I could also say Felix Nielsen as well, Igor Sarin in Russia. There's just so many. Gonna definitely release an article, top 10 prospects in a few. Sure.
Yeah, they do have a sneaky good prospect pool, and they've been getting a few guys, and not so much defensemen lately, because that's was always their bread and butter in the past. There's so many defensemen that they would produce, but it's more forwards. But yeah, there are a lot of guys to watch for sure.
I didn't even mention Tommy Blyle as well.
Fast,
offensively oriented defenseman, plays kind of like Samuel Girard. I'd love to be able to watch him too.
Yeah, I like that too. I mean, and you mentioned Molendyke there. I know Dayton. I will be happy you mentioned him, because he loves him. That's a guy he's always been watching, and of course plays Saskatoon. But yeah, great skater, great defenseman. I think he's going to end up being pretty good as well. All right, this is probably a quick one. Who's going to lead the team in scoring? And you can go goals and points. It could be the same player.
For me, it's probably going to be Phil Forsberg. I mean, even if Nashville ended up going through a fire sale at the deadline, I don't think Forsberg is being moved at all. I think he's going to stay the course on this rebuilding. Might try to shop him the offseason, but Forsberg is definitely going to be leading in goals and points. He's evolved to a point per game player. Might try to approach 90 this season with improved forward play. Yeah, I think that Forsberg is probably going to be the team's offensive MVP.
Yeah, he's definitely a guy that he's definitely capable, and he has done it in the past for sure. So good pick on that one. All right, finally, and these are always fun. Bold prediction, hot take for this season for the Predators.
Oh man, I think that Roman Josi maybe end up getting shopped in trade rumors. Honestly, I think that's going to be my bold take. And this isn't. I'm not the only one that's been suggesting this take. I believe Alex Darty also did, but I really do agree with him. I think Josi. I think the Predators would be wise to try to shop Josi in trade offers. I mean, there's definitely some defenseman needy teams like the Detroit Red Wings, the San Jose Sharks, Toronto Maple Leafs can use him. Obviously, wouldn't trade him in division because that would be sacrilege for Predators fans.
Yeah.
And it would suck to see Josi part anyway, a guy that basically is emblematic of Nashville's way of playing hockey with like great defensemen, great goaltending. But I think that it would be wise for ownership and management to try to see what they can get out of Roman Josi.
100%. Like we mentioned, how Saros trade would be. Yossi trade would be pretty massive as well.
Oh my gosh, it would.
Right? I don't know. It would probably be more than a 1-for-1 because the last time a big defenseman was traded, Shea Weber, for PK Subban, 1-for-1. That could happen, star for star, but that's very rare. I think if that does happen, it's prospects, first round pick, whatever. And again, it also depends on what the Predators want to be doing. Are they in a rebuild, or are they more looking still wanting to be in that winning window? Then they would have to try to get a guy that would replace Yossi. Definitely not.
Could be maybe in a retool, I guess. This could be kind of like a retool year where they try to see what they got and then just try to cut off some pieces of the roster and really try to compete next season or the year after, with like a couple teams like the Stars dealing with forward depth issues, the Wild maybe having to deal with Quinn Hughes dealing with extension. We'll see. But the Predators, I have to see them try to commit to a direction this year, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think so too. I think they haven't really. They haven't said they're retooling or rebuilding. We'll see what McFarland does, because of course this is his first season as a GM in Nashville. So we'll see how he kind of navigates what he's done. And of course he did great in Colorado. And we'll see what he does for the Predators for sure. All right. Well, thanks, Owen, for coming on and talking Predators for this season, 2026-27. It's coming up quick. I don't know whenever you're watching this, it could be a week away. It could be a day away. But make sure to check out everything at thehockeywriters.com. We've got great articles previewing the season coming up. It's been going on all off season. Got great pieces everywhere. So check all that out. Check out all the other season preview videos if you want to take a look at them all, and take a look at them all. But there are lots of stuff going on at the Hockey Writers. Very slow off season. Hopefully that's going to start picking up here in the next month or so. But yeah, lots of stuff still to come. And make sure following Owen's writing as well for the Predators. He is the only one for the Predators right now. So take a look at anything he brings out. But until our next preview, we will see you next time.
Go Preds.